Hello, dear friends. Today, you and I are continuing our virtual series in preparation for the Congress, which will take place in 3 weeks. Our host is Alexander Kreslov, and I'm here with him. And today he told us to study the article called The Giving of the Torah, Giving of the Kabbalah. It is an article of Baal Salam, and we always have problems with it. How do we present it to newcomers, to beginners, to our friends who may exist in other places, in other cultures, in this scary world of ours, and to explain to them the contents, the purpose of Kabbalah, its essence, and so on. But there's nothing we can do. We must always come back to this and keep trying to bring to, first and foremost, to our hearts, what is it that's ahead of us, that we must do. We study from Kabbalah what the Kabbalists have revealed by revealing the upper world, just like physicists reveal this world. The Kabbalists reveal the upper world with the help of Tzimtzum, the screen, the reflected light. They include themselves in the universe, and they pass through this barrier, unseen barrier that separates us from this unseen world, and they begin to perceive in it completely new phenomena and forces and connections, systems, which obviously also influence our world, which is the lowest world in this hierarchy. And when they find this, and they find that our world and all of us, most importantly, we exist in complete oppositeness to this upper, tremendous, great and gigantic union, which is perfect and harmonious, and exists in its ideal form, in complete adhesion and between all its systems. And with respect to this world, we exist in this tiny shell of this world, and we are the most egoistic out of this entire system, out of all these systems. And the Kabbalists reveal to us that this entire system is essentially created so that out of this upper system, the forces would affect us gradually and bring us to consciousness. For them to help us understand that our nature is opposite, and it's deliberately opposite, made opposite to this upper system, so that we would attain this new nature out of the opposite nature. So out of this lower nature we are now, we would then attain this upper nature. To desire, begin to desire it, begin to wish for it, begin to want to rise to it, meaning spiritually, morally, and to become like this upper nature, to include ourselves, to connect to this upper system, to pass through this unseen barrier that separates us from it, and to become creatures of the upper world. And the Kabbalists tell us that it's possible. They've already done it. And now they're telling us what's happening, what's taking place in this world to come. And we can achieve this here, today, in this life. Everything depends only on our desire. The forces that will make the transformation for us, these forces are prepared, they're ready. All we need to do is ask for them. This request, this appeal, it must be true, genuine appeal. We need to understand what we're asking for and why, and not just scream like children do, senselessly. Because in attaining the upper worlds, they need to be made by us independently, willingly. We need to understand what it gives us, what we gain by it, why we're doing it, what the difference is between them and our world. So the Kabbalists tell us this, because essentially there is nothing new here. Just as we need to study the nature of this world and the nature of the spiritual worlds, and to characterize our current existence as absolute evil, as compared to the nature of the upper worlds, which is absolute goodness, and to want to change, wish to change. In so doing, we will draw the upper forces. They will come, and it won't be a problem anymore. They're going to lead us through this unseen, imperceptible barrier, whereby, as we pass it, you know, in the movies they show this sometimes. When you pass through something, you change and you enter a completely different state, a different dimension. So this new state and dimension, it differs from ours in that everything is based not on hatred, as it is here, but on love. And our hatred isn't really real true hatred. The true hatred is revealed only when people begin to understand the spiritual world even a little bit. As they reveal it to themselves, then with respect to it, as compared to it, they begin to attain our nature, recognize our nature. Everything is attained in comparison. You know, sweet versus bitter, and so on. Every state can be attained, perceived, only if there is an opposite to it, relative to which you can make these measurements. So, initially we exist here in this world, we don't understand anything, we don't know anything, then suddenly a desire springs up on us. Why don't we know? And then that's when we come to the group, when everybody's telling us something and we don't actually even know ourselves why we're here and what's drawing us to this place, until we begin to understand that here we're talking about a completely different state, a different world, different qualities. So it's not that we would sit in some space rocket and take off somewhere. That's not what we're talking about. And nor will we receive some magical sword with which we can do something supernatural, or one of us will become Superman and is going to be able to do something and carry us across. No. Gradually, we need to begin to understand that we exist within nature, and all nature is based on qualities, either reception or bestowal. This is what we learn. The upper world is built on the quality of bestowal, and our lower world is built on the quality of reception. And therefore, Kabbalists have created a method through which, with the help of which, we can also pass through this potential barrier, and enter into the sensation of the upper world. And this method, it essentially comes down to one very simple rule. Simple the way, it's seemingly simple, which is love thy neighbor as thyself. It's a very ancient sentence which everybody is aware of, everywhere is heard of. Everyone is theoretically agreed to it. Everyone is essentially ready to sign under it. At the same time, they sign with one hand, with the other hand they want to keep it free to do whatever they want, without even understanding that it may be contradictory to this condition. Because love thy neighbor as thyself, that's not us, that's the general law of the world. And what the Kabbalists tell us from this spiritual world down to us, what they pass down, that they pass down this law according to which all the worlds exist. There is also a middle law, so to speak, intermediary law, which says don't do to others what you don't wish to be done to yourself. And this is also an interpretation, although of love thy neighbor as thyself, although to a lesser scale, meaning you don't have to love your neighbor, but at least don't harm him. Love thy neighbor means that you're willing to give, to bestow to them everything and you're ready to give up everything for them. But don't do evil to them, just as you don't want evil to be done to you. That's a distance from everybody else, meaning you no longer search in them the chance to use them for yourself. So this is sort of like a intermediary stage towards love thy neighbor as thyself. And so the law of love thy neighbor as thyself is considered the highest, most exalted law of the spiritual world, and hence it is called the general law, because it includes in it absolutely everything. Meaning our world with all of its contradictions to the upper world, and all the upper worlds which exist beyond this potential barrier. There are 5 of them in all, as we learned, beginning from our world and above. That's Asiya, Yitzhara, Briya, Etzilut, Adam Kadmon, the world of infinity. So this entire nature that exists outside of this world, which cannot be, it's infinite. It is governed only by this law, love thy neighbor as thyself. This is why this law is called the general law, because it includes absolutely everything. Meaning, in addition to our world, everything that we could possibly see, feel, perceive in the upper worlds, anything that we could possibly reveal, it is all governed by this one law of loving thy neighbor, love of others. So whatever it is that we may find, look for it here. It's an expression of love from one to another. And that's how it is. This is the most general, the most external law of nature, and that is what it's called the Creator. Because this law, it's a rule of interconnection between all the parts of the existence. That's what gave birth to everything. This is the level of this law that we must attain. And the intermediary law, rule, which speaks of don't do to another what you don't wish to be done to you, it speaks only of a partial compliance with this condition. Which is why first we come to observe this condition, don't do to others what you don't wish to be done to you, and then we come to love thy neighbor as thyself. And those are really the first 2 items of our article, the giving of the Torah, or the giving of Kabbalah. And then he tells us, what does it mean to love as yourself? As yourself means the exact same measure as you believe you love yourself, and even more. Meaning, to the extent that you can imagine to yourself that you use others, and you use them absolutely, in absolutely everything, every minute, because this is your nature. To that extent, you need to change yourself to the opposite, so that you would, in the same way, every second think about what you can do for others. That's what it means as yourself. Just as today you love yourself, and in the future it will be revealed to you to the extent that you love yourself too. In the same way, you need to inverse yourself and turn yourself to benefit others and love others. So a question arises here. Is this even possible? For me to prefer the needs of another person, any person, and all people, above my own, then everything that exists in me, I feel like I would work like a mechanism whose only purpose is to work for others. All the calories that I consume to exist, I wish for them to all leave me and go to others, and to have nothing left in me. Can I even imagine this? to myself, what will I possibly, the very first question I get is, what can I possibly gain from this? If I ask this question to myself, what can I get from it? Then that's very bad, because that means I'm thinking about how I can use others for the benefit of myself. Even if concealing, sort of closing my eyes somewhat to all this that's happening, but I still want to keep using others. I still want to do this only if I get some sort of return, some sort of reward for it in the future. Only if I feel inspired and feel joy, I feel good from doing it. Then I'm ready to do it. But if I don't get anything in return, then how will I be able to think of others? Then I wouldn't be capable of even moving an inch. We know that nature of man is entirely egoistic, meaning he needs fuel in order to move himself. And moving himself means to foretaste a reward that's coming. And if this reward is greater than the energy expended, then I work for it. But if this reward is less than the energy required, then I can't work for it. For instance, if I'm being told, work the entire day and you will get, let's say, food for half of the day. Well, if I don't have any other option, then yes, I will take that as well. I will accept it. But essentially, I must always think how I can cover all my expenses, meaning the reward needs to be at least that minimum requirement. A slave works only to get the sustenance he needs. Anyone who's above a slave wants to work for some sort of profit above his basic sustenance. So where is this profit? Here I'm being told that I need to work like a slave, meaning to only have the opportunity to observe this condition of bestowal, fulfilling others. But also I need to be a slave with all my heart, with all my dedication and devotion, desiring only this. I would actually maybe even prefer not to eat at all, and only bestow. If I had this inner source of energy, that's what I would do. So that's the kind of demand of the upper light, the upper world, must be present. Where can I possibly acquire these qualities, desires to them, the ability to accept them, to even be interested in accepting them? The odd thing, and we're going to study this at the end of this article, Balsalam tells us that this needs to be presented and explained to people in this particular way, which is terrible. It sounds very scary. That love thy neighbor means to completely reverse yourself, to undergo this inversion where you work only in bestowal, and you don't even exist. You exist solely for the benefit of others. In this world, we can use an example of a mother who all she does is think about her baby and how to fulfill her baby, and her entire life is devoted only to giving him all that he needs for survival. Everything she does is only for him. So here we need to understand what is it that we receive, and that's what the Kabbalists tell us. When you ascend to this level, in so doing, you become equal to the Creator. Naturally, you receive the energy to continue bestowing and working in bestowal and love. Bestowal, because this is this is what's characterized by your love, meaning when you fulfill the desires of others, that's when it means that you love them. Because as we've learned, everything is built on reception or bestowal. So by behaving in this manner, you become equal to the Creator. So what happens then? What happens then is that you begin to perceive the perfection of nature, its higher level, highest level. And so doing, you become eternal, perfect, infinite, limitless, just like the Creator, because you acquire His qualities. And we have nothing else in this world. Only these two qualities to receive and to bestow. So if you connect to the quality of bestowal, you feel like the Creator. You merge with Him. You become equal to Him. You understand absolutely everything. You know absolutely everything. In terms of power, in terms of sensation, in terms of your infinite abilities, you become like Him. Therefore, our entire goal here is to develop to the level of the Creator, to be similar to Him. And this entire path which we do, which is called the ladder of spiritual ascent. This ladder is gradual step-by-step ascent of man. As he ascends this ladder, he changes his qualities from reception to bestowal. How is this possible? He tells us very simply, there is an energy, a force, the so-called upper light, which you can demand. And if this demand is genuine, if you truly demand for the light to come and change your qualities, it will come and it will change them. However, those processes that you will begin to feel happening within you, they will be pretty strange, because they will only take place in an altruistic current. And when you are going to estimate them with respect to your egoism, as what's happening to me, what's taking place, what are these processes? As a result, you're going to see in you certain inconsistencies, because from the point of view of egoism, it's incorrect what's happening. But from the standpoint of this upper nature that we're going to, it is correct. And as a result, when we accept this method, truly accept it, and begin to change ourselves, a preliminary stage passes in which a person kind of needs to break himself and to really understand the necessity of it. That's the phase of preparation. And then it follows by a phase of correction in which a person enters this perfect and limitless infinite world, the world outside of this one, in which all of these great forces exist, eternal and infinite forces, whom he gradually begins to master and acquire, and they become his new nature. And so, gradually he comes to this state of being equal to the Creator. So, what's the question here? Why do we need to do any of it in the first place? If the upper light does everything, does all these things to us, if he has no problem, it has no problem changing our nature from egoistic to altruistic, why are we even created initially with this egoistic nature? Why couldn't it have just created us the way that it wants us to be, eternal and perfect and infinite? Moreover, we learned from Kabbalists that this upper light, which corrects us, that's also the light that has corrupted us. That's the light that has chucked us down, hurled us down from this height of love and bestowal into this world of low, base world of terrible ego and evil. It's the light. With this final action, it has created this entire universe and this planet and everything that exists on this planet. Meaning qualities and states that are completely opposite to itself. Why was this all necessary? Just so that today we would want to begin to desire to be corrected and begin to ask for correction and demand and appeal for it. As a result, I understand that it's not my fault. I haven't done any of this. It's the light. So did the light make everything in this terrible form just so that to bring me to a point where I will appeal to it? Does he really need my appeals and requests? Does he feel some sort of sick, perverted pleasure in having me be as low as I am and demanding for him? Does anyone really behave this way? Does a honorable creature or entity behave this way toward anybody else, especially one that is upper with respect to somebody who's lower? That's what it seems to us in our egoistic qualities. That's how we assess the situation. We can't assess it any other way. From our imperfect qualities, more perfect qualities always seem to us terrible and sinister and containing some sort of inner terrible ulterior motive. And so Kabbalists, they give us this example. They tell us this is reminiscent of a person which exists and it's a guest of a friend or a good acquaintance, and his friend, the host, is offering him to eat some food that he has prepared. And this person, the guest, he feels shame. He becomes ashamed, and on one hand, he's really starving, he really wants to eat, but on the other hand, he can't force himself to eat because this action would make him a receiver. It would make him really low. It would make him a debtor with respect to the host. And this denigration of I within a person, it is truly a terrible feeling. So terrible that we can't overcome it. We need to make certain changes within us. We need to attune us somehow to somehow compensate for it. I can accept it from him, but at the same time I need to feel as though I'm giving him something. I'm doing him a favor of some kind, or I'm giving him pleasure. That something in the past, I did something for which he now owes me. Somehow, within myself, I need to compensate this action. Otherwise, I can't do it. I cannot, or I simply lower myself from the level of a man to the level of animal, and I steal. What does it mean I steal? Just as a dog or a cat can simply take something from something that belongs to others, and simply takes it and runs away because it doesn't feel any shame. It doesn't feel any feeling that it must replace or do something in return to this person from whom this was taken. The animal doesn't feel any of those things. So the law is that on the level of man, human level, a person cannot accept from another because at the same time he feels this denigration of his I. And there is no person out there who can accept without somehow compensating this reception in some way. This is why in our world, you can take a look and see what happens. in our world we have begun to introduce norms whereby stealing is allowed. And everybody is stealing, from kings and ministers to the simplest folk. When taking from another, stealing from another, lying to another, it's considered a sign of valor and intelligence and luck, and so on, positive qualities. People that can steal more, they become all-powerful and rulers and so on. And people who have power in their hands without being ashamed at all, they use it to oppress others, or by putting pressure, putting others through suffering, they do it to get something that they want, and that's what they do. That's their behavior. This tells us that we begin to distance from the Creator so greatly that we don't even begin to feel this natural shame that exists in us, because that's where we originate from. What do I mean by that? I have the desire to enjoy, to receive. That's my nature. But in addition, there is a point in me next to this point of reception, which is called man. I cannot simply receive something from another. It will be, in my memory, it will be recorded as though I owe something to him. I can't simply steal from another. In so doing, I fall immediately from the level of man to the level of animal. Because an animal takes from another and doesn't feel any obligations. Even more, we fall, and we're proud that we were able to steal something successfully, that we weren't caught, or we're proud we're proud of our strength. Look what I've done! I threatened them, and I got what I wanted, or I used my strength to overpower somebody, and I'm proud of it. So, our practice of social interaction is built on violence, on theft, and all these qualities, and that's how it is, and very openly so. So practically, what have we done? How did we reach this state? We have suppressed this point of shame in us, which has existed in us because we originate from the Creator. And the Creator is one, and the Creator is unique. This quality of uniqueness and oneness existed in every one of us. And this quality of oneness, we weren't maybe not proud, but we were very much scared of hurting it, damaging it somehow, because a person was rather die than damage this point, because it comes from the Creator. So we see in this world, we saw a lot of examples where people they died, they willingly went toward death in order to save this feeling, because they felt that their true I didn't disappear. So we see in our society these behavioral norms where theft, stealing is allowed, and the person doesn't feel shame, but he's proud of it. In so doing, we essentially destroy this point, our only and our last point of contact with the Creator. This is why our current state, it is cardinally different, opposite to all of our other previous states. And this brings us to a point where the science of Kabbalah must be revealed to mankind, and we must begin to correct our nature. Because the Creator, He has the quality of bestowal, of love, of respect, of ascension. Everything that exists in Him exists in Him. Everything that exists in Him is also loved and desired by us, because we come from the same root. This is why we love everything that's connected with respect, with exaltedness, with attainment. It's normal for a person to be proud of, be in a special state. At the same time, we love, very interestingly, physical states such as fulfillment and rest. Because in the Creator, it lacks any deficits. There are no deficits, and that's why we love fulfillment and rest. And all the actions we make are only to reach fulfillment and rest. So we have many qualities which stem from the Creator directly: love towards valor, towards wisdom, and so on. And the opposite is true. Everything that is absent from the Creator, foolishness and poverty, they are lacking in the root, so we despise these qualities as well. And here, now, when there's a sort of mutation taking place, mutation of values, we begin to value people, evaluate them in a completely different way. When people are boasting of their oppositeness in terms of their image from the Creator. This never existed in the previous states. There was always the matter of self-respect and sort of moral values. And today, none of those things exist, only power. Therefore, our generation is very special, because here is when this final demonstration, showing of the final shattering, the breaking of what was left of our similarity with the Creator, that one point it's revealing itself. That is why we're ready, we're prepared, even though we're the ugliest, we're the most mutated from that original point. That's the state that we needed to have achieved in order to begin the change. Because with all the negative things that are taking place in our twisted connection between ourselves in what we call humanity, here we begin to see the degree that we are inhuman, and how we essentially cannot continue to exist the way that we do. And that's what Kabbalah tells us, that when in humanity this final, terrible stage of development will begin to reveal itself, and it's only beginning this revelation now. Ahead of us, there are still more harsher, more sharper, more acute states, demonstrations of egoism. But this is already a sign that we can begin the correction. And that's why Kabbalah is revealed, and it is beginning to manifest itself, and it called to us, and to disseminate it in order to show the entire world that it could be done and how it could be done. So Kabbalah tells us that we need to achieve the action of bestowal, meaning that same love is the action of bestowal. It can be done in two phases, two stages. The first stage is relationships between people, and the second is the relationship between people and the Creator. Why are there two stages? Because the Creator is concealed from us. It is the general force, general law, and He's concealed because if we were able to see Him, we would not be able to rid ourselves of the egoistic draw towards Him. We would be simply hypnotized by His greatness, by this absolute harmony, incredible harmony and light and fulfillment. We would be totally locked onto this feeling of basically just waiting and thinking, I just want to get something from it, and I'm waiting for it to come to me. But it wouldn't happen that way. That's why he's concealed from us, and we're given a group. And this group, even though it appears to us the most opposite thing from this upper world, but at the same time, it is in this place, it is the most real and applicable place within which I can develop my quality of bestowal. And this quality of bestowal that I will develop between me and the friends, it will be absolutely identical, absolutely reproducible to the attitude of the Creator toward me, which is equivalence with the Creator. And to the degree that I will equalize with the Creator, I will cross, I will go through this barrier for material, corporal and spiritual. And my very first, the most minimal similarity to the Creator, to the smallest degree, it already means that I'm in the spiritual world. So me and the friends, we need to set ourselves, attune ourselves to a kind of state where we help one another in order to support one another in this spiritual development. The first thing that we need is the greatness, the importance of the goal. For us to realize, to become impressed by one another, in that our mutual love, our mutual support, mutual fulfillment, mutual assistance in our aspiration toward the Creator. And love thy neighbor as thyself, to exit oneself for the sake of others, this is the greatest, the highest value of not only humanity, but all the worlds, all creation, all nature. If I receive this impression from my environment and it penetrates me, then I have no other choice. I begin to this ideal, I begin to value it. I begin to treasure it, cherish it. And then I have the strength to work toward it and to actually achieve it. So what do I need here? I need to build the kind of relationship between myself and my group so that this group becomes for me an environment, a society. And this society would give me two parameters, very clear, precise parameters. The first parameter is exaltedness, the ideal of love, of friends. When I exit myself completely and I am fully directed toward them, and I leave behind absolutely, and my entire essence is to fulfill them. And the second feeling that I need to get from the society is the loneness, the insignificance of my own, and the emptiness of my own qualities and desires. If these two opposite impressions I receive from my society, then I will have the strength between these two things, between my own insignificance and the greatness of the goal. I will have the kind of tension necessary in order to propel me forward, and I will be able to achieve the state that we're reading about here: love thy neighbor as thyself. And as we've said before, the group is purposely created in order so that we would get used to this. We would set up our interrelationships with one another in a way that in the same way that the Creator's relationship is toward us. Why? Because if we do this at this level, then I can come to the Creator with even the smallest, with an attitude that's corrected even to the smallest degree, be similar to the Creator even to that smallest measure, and so that it would stay, it would remain permanent. I would not be able to fall from it, and then I will be able to establish contact with the Creator. But if this similarity toward the Creator would be partial, if it is not permanent but temporary or varying, then I would not be able to perceive the Creator, because He is absolute, He is constant and unchanging. That is why instead of the Creator, we're given a group which constitutes the exact same creature that the Creator had created, except here this creature organizes itself among its members in order to reveal the Creator. Therefore, we come to the revelation of the Creator gradually within the group, as it is written, from love of others to love of the Creator. And this love is achieved in two stages. First, don't do to others what you don't wish to be done to you. And two, the rule of love thy friend as love thy neighbor as thyself. These are the two stages of according to which the ladder of attainment to the Creator is built. So here it's clear that until we organize ourselves into a proper group and establish the right connections, a level of connection and unity between us, we would not be able to actualize ourselves in any way and draw closer to the Creator. That is why humanity was given all this time to develop, to become ripe, alongside this Kabbalistic method, which for thousands of years has developed next to humanity, concealed from humanity. As we've said, thousands of years these sources have existed, particularly the book of Zohar. And in these texts it is written that this method would be revealed to humanity at the end of the 20th century, because that's when humanity would reach its absolute lowest state, from which there is only one way to go, up. And that is why today we find ourselves in this very special period, which is called the period of universal correction. The world is becoming global. The world is becoming terrible. And it's on a global scale, where egoists are completely interdependent on one another, and there is this mutual hatred between everyone, and we're revealing the purposelessness and the lack of values and all the drugs and depression and so many other things. I'm not even talking about all the global climate changes and all the other changes and degradations in society, in all societies. So this is the generation, as the Book of Zohar states, that needs to begin to change itself. And that's a generation that will be able to perceive the method and truly achieve what's a certain level of ease. They would understand that it's not me that I need to change, it's not me that I need to work on, but I simply need to put myself under the right influence, in the right environment. And then I will have the strength to do everything I need, and I will do it easily and with inspiration. Simply by being impressed, inspired by my environment, I will demand the upper light to come and correct me, and it will happen. And I will become a participant in this higher state, in the upper world. That's what we need to come to, and that's why 3 weeks from now, we're holding this great global Congress, Kabbalistic Congress of 2010. And we're waiting for all of you. We want you to be present, whether physically or virtually, it doesn't matter. Everyone to the extent that they're able to. I receive a lot of letters From all points on the planet, people are saying, I have no opportunity to come, I can't take time off work, or my wife, my family, they don't allow me, or my husband, and so on, or health reasons, I can't make it. All of these people, and I told them, my answer to them is, whoever is able to come, I truly recommend it. That's my advice to you. That is the greatest impression the person gets when he's here physically. Because truly we still become inspired through our bodies. However, if the upper governance has made it so a person is unable to come, to be here physically, then if he does all that he can to be with us virtually, at the same time, let's say he can be with us, with his group and with us, to watch all of our events. At the same time, he may sit somewhere in some distant point away from us, but they organize perhaps a meal between themselves, and they're watching us, and they're singing together with us, and they participate together with us in all our events. That is enough. Everything else, the Creator will supplement whatever is missing, and it would be as though He exists right here with us. We don't understand to what extent we simply need to add just this one thing, to be as much as we can, to be under the influence of the light. That's all that we need to do. Everything else will be done by the light. So that's what we're going to try to do. We're going to try to be together to the extent that you can make it on your end, and to the extent that we'll be able to bring this to you on our end. And then, truly under the influence of the environment that we are now preparing, and all of our preparations, we're going to reach the kind of state where this light is going to shine on us, and we're going to get inspired by it, impressed by it, so much so in this aspiration to establish the right kind of connection between us, that we will change our nature. And we will see with our own eyes, we will feel this upper light which fills absolutely everything, the entire space of reality, and us in it, how we exist in its endless, infinite flow. And as we're going to ascend greater and greater, higher and higher, according to the degrees that the Kabbalists have described for us, up until the very highest degree, where all of humanity will be corrected. And we can attain all of this, we can make it happen. That's the task that is in store for us. It needs to be completed in the next 200 and change years. But we can already begin to do it. We can. This is the generation where this necessity is being absolutely revealed, as though it's ready. Everything is prepared. So you and I are beginning our preparation. We have 3 more weeks until the Congress, and then in those 3 days when we finally meet, we will try to actualize this influence of the light as much as we can, to the maximal measure, and for the light to elevate us to its own level, to the higher level. This is what I wanted to talk to you about in this article called The Giving of the Kabbalah, or Giving of the Torah. We have time for a few questions, perhaps. We have a lot of questions about the Congress. Namely, in Lithuania, we have a lot of friends that have gathered together, and Kostas from Vilnius is asking, what practically can we change at the Congress in November? But he also asked at the morning lesson, I believe. Yes, but now he's asking very specifically, can we avert the 3rd and 4th World War by studying Kabbalah? Can I change my fate, my destiny? Can I avoid suffering, and so on? Yes, I answered this question with a show that I had done with Musha Sinilevich. But I know why you're asking, because he's asking the right question, so I will answer it again. The third and fourfold war, of course, we can avoid it. We can, according to the predictions, it needs to happen, but we can avoid it and make it happen within. And we can avoid it taking place in this level. The Kabbalists described how it can be done, and you and I, this is what we're going to try to do, to make it so there would not be any wars, and to make our spiritual ascent very smooth and very pleasant. The answer is very simple: to unite together, connect, and to ask for the light to make us similar to itself. That's all. And I think that the pace that at which we are developing, I think we have all the opportunity to make this happen. If everyone were to feel the responsibility that lies on him, then certainly, very quickly we will reach the goal, and the entire world is going to follow us. That's one. And two, what's he asking about the Congress? About changing his destiny and avoiding suffering? Yes, of course. Why else do we do this? It is it's written very simply. Either it's a path of suffering or the path of delight. We're going to reach the goal that is in front of us either way. We can take either one path or the other. So all that we need to do is to choose the path of light. But in order to do that, we need to draw it together with the group, to work toward it. And then we'll be successful. So the path of light, it exists before us, and it is within our power to utilize it. Question from Tel Aviv asks, at the Congress, will it be easier to love others? Yes, I would say so. It certainly would be easier, because this influence of the environment that he will find himself in, it makes you feel that the love of others is very realistic. It's almost right. It's almost there for you to just reach out and take it. So how can you not? But the thing is, very serious preparation is necessary to come to this, so that when you come to this environment, you would become like an embryo inside a mother's womb. You would allow this environment to absorb you and to make you want to be within it and be like it, to be in love toward everybody in it. But if you prepare yourself accordingly, then once you come to this environment, you'll be able to generate the same feeling of love and desire. So I truly recommend to you to do everything that you can to prepare yourself to go through this material that we are studying, and be absolutely prepared. Our Congress is not that when you come you want to expect surprises from me or from anybody else. No, we're awaiting only spiritual surprises. That's all that we want. We don't want to come to see to hear new songs and to see new presentations, or to hear new things from Lightman talking to me from the stage. None of those things matter. None of those physical things matter. The important thing is that for all of us to be prepared between ourselves to combine our efforts and to create a powerful spiritual field. That's the surprise. That's what we're trying to attain. Everything else is irrelevant, absolutely irrelevant. What I talk about and the people that prepare and the shows, presentations, and all those things are insignificant. But that inner organization and connection that you need to attain between yourselves, that's the only thing you need to focus on, the only thing you need to think about. And I hope that in 3 weeks from now we're going to actualize it, make it happen. So I hug all of you, and we'll talk to you next week.